I have got an amazing guest this week, Jason Patterson, the short lease king. You know that I'm not a flat lover, and this conversation is really going to open your eyes to, I think I'm going to call it a baby advanced strategy. And the reason it's an advanced strategy is because you need to understand that you need a different type of solicitor, a different type of surveyor, and you need to understand the process, the problems, the laws and rules around leases. You also need to understand is what makes a good price and what's a freeholder trying to squeeze extra money out of you. So that's what makes it more advanced than your simple buy-to-lets. But there's a real opportunity here to solve someone's problem. If there is a short lease on a flat, then somebody else is going to have a problem selling it, and you can solve that problem. So have a listen to Jason and learn all about short lease flats. Hello and welcome. My name's Vicky Washay and I am joined by Jason Patterson today. Jason is the short lease king, but more importantly, he's a man who loves flats. And as you know, I'm not a flat fan. So I really wanted to have a conversation with Jason, see if I've been missing a trick, if he can turn me round the corner to being maybe a flat liker at the very least. So that's what I'm looking for. Jason, welcome.
Yeah, thanks for the invite, Vicky.
My pleasure, my pleasure. So I've got you as a flat lover.
Yeah.
How long ago did you start investing then?
Yeah, my first flat I purchased in 2001, as in September 2001. So
Wow.
the first offer on June, I think it was the 4th of June 2001, first ever flat, and then it completed on the September the 11th, I think it was, 2001. So my first ever process. So that was a
Wow.
one-bedroom flat, top of North London in Enfield. Bought it for 70,000. Yeah, we've had an 83 or 84 year lease on it. So it
Uh,
was quite good actually. The reason why I started with flats was because I couldn't afford to buy houses.
yeah.
I wanted to get into property, but houses were quite expensive, especially in North London. And on my wages, there's no way that I could have afforded to buy a house. So
Mm.
I thought, you know what, if I'm gonna start in the property game, I've got to start with flats. I
Yeah.
mean, eventually my plan was to start buying flats, I mean houses and so on. But over the years, I've just stuck with flats because it worked for me. So just continued it that way.
Brilliant. So,
Mhm.
so similarly, I started in 2004 and we got first one and then two more flats in Islington.
Ah, okay.
And
That's where I
but
was born.
say
That's where I was born.
uh, so really so we started off with this, but it cost me, was it 150, I think, that first flat. And that same thing of, it like the first one you do, and even the first house I ever bid on, it was that first house that completed. And I think when you get that first one, when you put a first offer in and then it follows through,
Yeah.
there's almost like a bit of a buzz that this is easy,
Mm.
but you've got to come back round with the money again. So you did mention this, that when you started off, you bought the flat because, houses were more expensive and on your wages, you needed to do it. So
Mhm.
maybe I didn't ask these to you off screen. So if you don't want to answer anything I've said, that's perfectly fine. But so where did you get the money for this first deal? And back in 2001, it's not like now where there was a thousand lenders that you could go to. How did you finance this first deal?
Yeah, so basically I've done a lot of overtime because my job in Sainsbury's, I was in the grocery section. So I started off in Waters, and when I done so well, they moved me to the bread aisle. So they gave me my own house. I was putting out Kingsmill, Hovis, Mr. Kipling pies,
You know
etc.
it all.
etc. Yeah, so I had to be there by 6 most mornings. Because the truck arrived around 5:30, 5:45-ish, and the store didn't open till 8 back then. So I had to make sure I got there early, got to Archway for 5:30, got
Get
the
everything
bus
out.
from there, yeah, straight down to Camden. I mean, obviously, the guard used to open the door for me, let me in, and I'll stack the bread. And by 8 o'clock, the shop would open up. So I've done a lot of obviously stacking bread. Yeah.
I did meat in Marks and Spencer's,
Okay. Yeah,
and
more
then went
posh.
on to children's socks.
There you go. Yeah. Got to be done.
As
It's
you
got to be
do,
done.
my progression through retail.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
cuts you off. I mean, a lot of overtime was on night shift.
Oh, did you?
Trolleys because I wasn't till trained. So I had to do a lot of overtime on trolleys. I mean, over the years, I managed to accumulate enough for a deposit. I mean, from then, I bought my first flat. But while I was doing it, it was hard work. It was hard
Yeah.
work. So it took a while to do. And I said, if I'm going to do this for the rest of my life, it's going to be hard. So I needed a way out. I mean, I thought property was a nice exit for me because you can also do, obviously, buy stocks and shares, or you can start a business or go into property. But I thought property was the more lower entry, probably barrier to entry for me. So I thought, you know what, just go down that route instead.
But can I just say, back in 2001, because I know certainly 2004, 7, and even 2008, it
Yeah,
wasn't so mainstream as this. So how did you either, what did you see that told you to invest in property, or what gave you the idea, or did you learn from someone or read something? How did
yeah,
you even think that investing in property as a, you know,
yeah, yeah. Like you said,
bread loader in Sainsbury's make that sort of very entrepreneurial leap? Is
yeah,
there something in your background with your parents or what?
yeah, like you said, there wasn't any training courses back then apart from one, I think, called Inside Track. Um,
Oh my God.
yeah,
I haven't heard that name in
yeah,
so long. Tell
yeah.
me you didn't do Inside
No, I know I
Track.
didn't. I didn't.
Oh,
I got offered it, but I said nah.
yes. Just for
Yeah,
anybody who doesn't know, Inside Track was the pits in that it used to make people pay a huge amount of money to join the membership. Then it gave them what they called off-plan deals. We got so close. I couldn't attend the meeting, and
yeah.
my girlfriend at the time, my best friend at the time, she went and she signed up for everything, and she bought um, a house in Hull that had a tree growing out of it and a compulsory
Was it?
purchase order. She bought two flats in Spain, one that didn't conform to planning and therefore was never allowed to be rented, and one that they did something else wrong with. Then she bought an off-plan house in Florida, Jamaica Keys or something like that, supposed to be near Disney, and it was never built. And everything that they sold her, and she constantly remortgaged her own. She bought a council house and remortgaged the council house to release equity, um, and lost all of her money in all of these deals.
Yeah,
Oh, and the one that we ended up joining on was a flat in Estonia. And when she got to the flat in Estonia, she was getting in more financial difficulty, and I stepped in on the mortgage, and I owned this bloody flat in Estonia because of Inside Track for 20 years before I managed to get out from underneath it. So
yeah.
yeah,
A lot.
you got away with the skin of your teeth there for sure.
Mhm. Yeah, I know.
So who did you learn from, or
Yeah, yeah. So basically, at the time, I was seeing a certain female, and then her mum was in the garden with her feet up, just reading a magazine. This is midday, 12:30, 1 o'clock in the day. I said, "What's your mum doing here? Doesn't she work?" Oh no, no, she's got property. I mean, she just rents it out. She just collects the rent money. That's her job. I was like, "Oh, okay." So when I was young, the seed got planted.
nice?
And then going forward, when I was working as a college lecturer teaching maths, I met this other guy, and he said, "Yeah, I've got this flat in Tottenham, that's been rented out now because me and my partner have split up, and I'm moving back home to mum now. I mean, I'm renting my flat out. Yeah, I'm moving back home because mum just does all my cooking for me, all my washing, with that. So my friend flat that I've just rented out now, I'm getting like £600 a month through it. So I'm like, oh, yeah, it's easy. Just just buy a flat and then rent it out. You can make a lot of money from it." So from then, the idea started to stick into my mind about property. I mean, just move forward from there. But like you said, there wasn't
Awesome.
many social media. When I started actually, Homes Under the Hammer was not around
Yep.
yet. I started
No.
in 2003. You had Sarah Beanie, Property Ladder, that started, I think, in 2004 or 2003, one of the two. You had the £1 Million Property Experiment, again, 2003, 2004 on BBC One, that's when it started. So all of these programs started afterwards. So it's only
Yeah.
when, yeah, it's only when I started doing it, and then I saw it on TV, when it fueled me even more.
Yeah. Yeah. So the first one was in 2001. How long before you bought your second one then?
2003. So
Wow.
what I did, I had my rental income coming in from that first one. And then one day I was watching the BBC News, at home. He said, no, no, no. House prices have risen by 17%. So I was like, oh, that must be good. So we went to my broker or a broker at the time and said, yeah, you can pull out some equity out of your first one because it had risen to well over 100,000. So I was like,
Yeah.
like most of that money. So I said, all right. So I took out that money. That's number one. Had my rental income from the first one, number two. I had my Sainsbury's job, number three. I was doing private tuition, math private tuition, number four. And I just started my college lecturer's job, teaching maths, number five. So I had five streams of income coming in. Managed to collab it all together, and I managed to buy three buy-to-lets, yeah, back to back, yeah.
Wow. And again, they would have been three flats.
Yeah, three flats, yeah, yeah.
Wow. That's awesome.
So,
And I did very similar in that we released money when the prices went up. And again, it's interesting that 5 jobs thing. I had 5 jobs. So I was studying my degree, had which way did I go? I was doing 1 degree, I had 2 kids under 3, and I had 5 part-time jobs, and
a lot,
that's
a lot,
but
yeah.
the thing is, yes, it is a lot. And we spoke before we came on air
Mm.
about there is this thing, isn't there, that you're supposed to go to school, you're supposed to get a job, and when you get the job, the best thing that can happen in the job is that you get a promotion. But you look at everybody else with the promotion, and bearing in mind that was back then, and I think it's even worse now, all of that pressure on supervisors and managers. Yes, they give you more money,
Mm.
but is the pressure they put on you worth the extra money? And like you, I think you said somewhere along the line that you wanted financial security, and that's absolutely what I wanted. In the end, I got made redundant from a job that I've been committed to for 11 years, just like that, overnight. All
Yeah.
my income taken away, and as a single mom,
Mm.
I thought I'm never going to be in that position again. So,
Yeah. So,
so you
exactly.
got a history back then of buying the flats,
Mm.
and you're just buying them and holding them at the moment.
Yeah, so buying, holding. Basically, I sort of started off with a vanilla buy-to-lets, just buying it, touch of paint, clean the carpets, and renting them out. And then in 2003, when I was buying my hat trick, my first hat trick,
Yeah.
I went into the estate agents on the Hartford Road. I mean, there's a guy called AJ in there who's a mortgage broker. He retired for the third time. I met him for the third time. We said, oh, I went in there because all these. Actually, again, there was no right move at the time as well. I saw them in the local paper, the Enfield Gazette, looking through the papers. And then I saw three flats,
Circling.
like, yeah, circling them, yeah. And I went into that same branch. I said, oh, I'd like to buy 3 properties, please. And then AJ like looked at me. He said, like, how old are you? So I told him about age, like early 20s. Oh, a lot of people your age are out there, raving, partying, taking drugs,
Yeah,
playing.
what's the matter with you?
Exactly, yeah. What's wrong with me? Yeah, yeah. I said, oh, don't worry, I'm still doing all of that apart from taking drugs. Gonna buy 3 flats. And then she like, oh, so he taught me through the process, gave me a little bit of guidance because he had a nice Mercedes outside, nice black Mercedes. I was like at all with it. I was like, oh, this car's so nice. And he said, Jason, that car, I didn't use any of my own money to buy it. So I was like, how did you do it? So, and then he said to me, the BRR. The BRR, I was like, what's that? So it's buy, refurb, rent it, and then repeat. So he took me to one of his flats in Edmonton and said, yeah, this is one of the ones that I'm doing now. I bought it. It's dilapidated. I'm doing it up. Yeah, make it good. And after that, I'm gonna refinance, take some of that money out. And when I go again, I'll take the money out, and then obviously I can buy my new car afterwards. So I was like, oh. So then my eyes just opened up. My eyes lit up to a new world of just rather than just renting it, buying it and renting it. So from then I started to do more refurbs, and then some more reconfigurations as well.
Oh, we're going to
Uh,
come on to them. So save
yeah,
that.
yeah, as
So
well.
so before you go too far, that
Mhm.
little bit there, just to sort of couch it in time, because we're like grandma and grandpa of property here. Is you said on that first flat that you bought it and it got an 86-year lease.
Yeah.
That's more of a problem now, and it wasn't so much of a problem then because you wouldn't get a mortgage on that now.
Oh, yeah, no, if it's above 80, you can still get a mortgage on it.
Uh,
But when it's below 80, that's when the issue starts. A lot of the
okay.
lenders fall off the list.
Yeah.
And if it falls below 70, even more lenders fall off the list.
Yeah.
You still get
So
a mortgage on it, but
so there's that one issue, but then also if you're buying, refurbing and remortgaging or refinancing,
Yeah.
you've not got the early redemption penalties back then. So
Yeah.
now, and the whole 6 month rule, because I mean, the 6 month rule, I think was that 2008-ish, 9-ish,
Yeah. Man, credit
somewhere
crunch.
like that. I think the first couple of houses that I bought in 2008 that were okay, and then all of a sudden the rule came in. So
Mm.
basically, the council and mortgage lenders, because there were so many people getting on the property bandwagon by about 2007-8,
Mm-hmm.
that what you got was people that were doing what are effectively same day remortgages, and I nearly got into one of those where you buy it in the morning. In fact, this is how dodgy my deal was. So I bought the flats and they were fine, and then so I bought one in 2004, a couple in 2007. Then I did training, and that was sort of like almost the worst thing I did, because then they told me about this, buy below market value, and then what you're going to do is remortgage it, etc. And I had a system where there were two solicitors,
Mm.
and one solicitor was working, even though it was me and I've agreed to buy this house, one solicitor went straight and worked with my vendor,
Yeah.
and somebody else bought the house using this solicitor in the morning. And then in the afternoon, my
Yeah.
solicitor then worked with the other solicitor, because I was paying for both of them.
Yeah.
And then I bought it back in the afternoon. But what happened over lunch somehow, not quite sure how over lunch it suddenly did this, but it went from being worth 70,000 at 11 o'clock in the morning to being worth 100 and something thousand at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And that allowed me, because again, in the day, it's 85% loan to value, is that I could do an 85% remortgage at 100 and something, pull all my money back out, pay all the fees that were involved, and basically leave no money in,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
sounds excellent. But it was quickly pointed out that it was mortgage fraud when
Okay.
I accidentally rung the wrong solicitor to ask a question, and he went, "You're not supposed to speak to me, and I'm not supposed to know what you're doing." It's going,
Mm.
but I was given all your details. And then
Yeah.
that's the point at which I was going like, oh,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
deal
They-
number 4 was mortgage fraud already. So yes,
Dangerous.
scary
Yeah.
days. So hopefully you never went any of that route. So
Oh,
now
no.
now you've got a rhythm. You've found, can we call AJ a mentor?
Yeah,
Like
like
an
I'm.
early day mentor?
Yeah. Yeah.
Not
Mm-hmm.
formal as in he's not specifically teaching you something, but knowing that there is someone there who knows more than you that you can ask questions of.
Yeah.
And then the next thing, so you've done your nice little vanilla buy to let flats, and you've found that the property price has gone up in 2007, and you've done your remortgage, or 2003, you've done your remortgage,
Yeah.
and that probably price increase lasted you for a few years, because the prices were definitely going up on that
Exactly.
side of the 2000 to 2007 end.
Yep.
But then you slipped in there. So I know that what we're going to talk about is short leases. The sign on behind you is talking about season, but you then talked about reconfigure. So then what happened at that point? How did your thinking change from I'm just going to buy flats and do them up and then rent them out? Was this a bit of something that you met through AJ, or some other way you just suddenly went, right, actually there's a way I can reconfigure these flats?
Yeah. So basically, AJ gave me the idea as well. But then when it was consolidated was when I went to basically a nice flow of properties from two local estate agents where I am. And then they kept offering me some flats above shops. But I was saying, no, I don't want a flat above a shop. I'd rather want in commercial, so purpose built or conversions, or it may be even ex-local authority. But flats above shops, no. But then one day he said to me, Daniel said, "Oh, come on, come look at this flats above a shop." So I thought, oh, all right, then. I went to go and view it, and it was massive. It was about maybe 65 square meters, and for one beds, looking at anything between around 40s on average. If it's a studio, 30 to 37-ish. So this was massive. So he said to me, "Look, you might as well buy this flat and convert it into a two-bed." I said, "You know what? It's a good idea." So I'm buying it for one bed price, and then obviously reconfigure it, extend the lease at time as well, and refurb it. That's called what I call a triple threat, by the way.
Yeah.
So I did one of them on that one, and I thought, you know what, this is a good idea. Yeah. So a lot of the reconfiguring started from that flat above a barber shop, and then just move forward that way. So Yeah, that's where the idea come from, basically.
So the reconfiguring is obviously making another bedroom.
Mm.
Was that a case of taking one bedroom and splitting it into two? Obviously, you've got to allow for windows and things like that, or what was your pattern? So you literally just put up a wall and a door,
Now with these ones, I moved the kitchen into the front room
right?
and made an old kitchen into a bedroom. So you
Right.
need permission from the freeholder to do it,
I was going to
and
say, yeah, if you're
yeah,
moving your plumbing around and stuff.
exactly, yeah, to make sure it doesn't affect the rest of the building and rest of the other flats. And also the minimum size for the bedroom, if it's an adult's bedroom, has to be a minimum of 6.51 for you to move forward that way. So look for flats with a big kitchen or biggest kitchen. And then majority of the time, we just move the kitchen into the front room and turn the old kitchen into a bedroom. And then
Yeah.
rent it as a two bed.
Again, presumably that you've got a window in the kitchen as well. So there's a real skill here with the floor plan that you've clocked. So you can be looking at the floor plans, you know the dimensions of well, the overall square footage, you know the size of the kitchen that you want, you're tricking that your windows are in all the right places. And then that whole thing of working with the freeholder, because one of the things about flats is you're owning the inside and somebody else owns all the building. So you can't just go doing this without permission.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Okay, so we've got a whole flow going here of we found that flats are more cost effective for you in the area because you're in the London zone, which is very ouch.
Exactly.
Then you've worked out that where the prices are still rising at the moment, that you can refinance. And obviously, one would assume that while you're pulling the money out, you're still getting the cash flow at the other end. So that's nice. And then you're going one step further and you're going, wow, some of these are quite big. I could reconfigure them. But that piece about not wanting to be over shops,
Mm.
yeah, I'm not a fan over a shop. A barber's is different because there's no flames there. But I mean, you've got to nowadays, I think there's too many chemicals with the nail salons, so you've got to watch what you're doing.
Mm.
And obviously, you don't want to be over anything that is a restaurant or a fast food because there's all
Exactly.
the fire risks.
Yeah,
So, have
correct.
you got set shops that you are happy to be over?
Yeah. So like I said, non food related. So like a co-op, barber shop, etc. Those ones are fine. What I found as well, when you're above a shop, commercial unit downstairs, the insurance is a bit higher. The builder's insurance is a bit higher, and the service charge is a little bit higher as well. So ideally, you need to get something where you can convert it, and it's more likely that the freeholder will allow you to do it because downstairs is a commercial unit anyway. And they give back to them and they just revamp it to whatever they want to do anyway. So the same or similar will happen to upstairs if you're a leaseholder. So
Yeah.
yeah, and it worked out well. So like you said, vanilla buy to lets to start with, then refurbs, then obviously a lot of reconfiguration, studios to one beds to two beds, two beds to three beds, and then after that, moved on to a lot of short lease flats. So like a logical progression in that
So
sense.
let's have a little chat about the short leases now. So to explain, do explain about leases generally then.
Yeah, so with leases, well, with property, you get two types of property. You got the freeholds, and you have a leasehold. The leasehold basically is where the land you do not own. There's an actual freeholder that owns the land, and you're only leasing it for a certain amount of years, whether it's 99 years, 125 years, 150 years, 199, 990, or 995, 990, 999 years actually. Yeah. So you're just leasing it for all that period of time. I mean, in that period of time as well, sometimes you have to pay a ground rent to the freeholder over that period of time. But if you do manage to renew the lease, and you can get a peppercorn ground rent on that, that means your ground rent reduced down to zero. But yeah, it's a leasehold when you're leasing it for a certain amount of time. If you're buying it as a freehold, then you own the land that it's on, and you can do what you want, bar planning permission, etc., etc.
Yeah.
The two differences, yeah.
So a lease is where I'm the freeholder, I own the ground, whatever this looks like, it's, let's call it a tower of some sort, whether it's got a shop at the bottom or a flat at the bottom. Somewhere in here, you're going to buy a flat and you're going to lease that airspace there. And that's going to be your flat that you're going to lease. And I'm going to create a contract, which we call a lease, and that's going to last a set amount of time.
Right.
So a short lease, by nature of the word short and lease, is a lease where the amount of time is short. And we touched on this earlier. You said that the lower the amount of years left on a lease, the harder it is effectively to finance. So you said below 80 is starting to become a problem. So have you got a set number of years that you target, or you just quite happy to pick up a short lease?
Yeah, so with my ones, I like to get mortgages on them. So I like to aim for anything between 55 and about 80 years-ish, like on average, only because I can get a mortgage on it. If it's below 50 years, then your options are to either get bridging finance, to buy cash, or get a hybrid product on it. So if you're gonna get basically a bridge, then there's two types of bridges that will allow you to lend. The first type is when you buy a flat with a short lease and then you extend the lease before the end of the bridge. And the second type of bridge is when you get a bridge and then the lender says to you, you must serve a Section 40 notice in between exchange and completion. Yeah. I mean, a hybrid product is whereby the lender will lend you 65% of the gross domestic value with a good lease in good condition. And the lender will pay for the property and they'll pay for the lease extension as part of the deal as well. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, so those are
so
the two.
that sounds like quite specialist products you're getting into there.
Yeah. So those are the types that you can do if it's below 50 years.
Yeah,
Some lenders will lend to you if it's a short lease and if you're extending the lease and purchasing simultaneously, will allow you to do both at the same time. Or in this tough market, not many lenders will lend to you where it's a short lease and when you extend the lease at a later date.
yeah,
So it varies depending on the lender basically and the type of market.
yeah. So this is quite, I'm going to say not complicated, but something that you really need to understand what you're doing, because there's no point you offering on a property if you can't get the loan for it. But what's the advantage of this short lease strategy that you're doing?
Yeah, so basically you're buying it below market value. It's similar to the paper version of the BRR. You're buying
So
for
hold on. So sorry. The
Mhm.
buying it below market value, it's you're paying, so there'll be an asking price for it. Maybe you can negotiate a discount, but it's now below the value of the flat as if it had a bigger lease. Not it's now valued less
Correct,
because the lease is shorter.
correct, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So it's this perfectly good house that was 10 years ago had a 90-year lease on it.
Mhm.
Forget the fact that market prices have changed, is now 10 years later, like for like, worth less because you've got only 80 years on the lease.
Correct, yeah.
So
Yeah.
you're buying at a discount because of that. And then presumably you do the remortgage, not the remortgage, you renew the lease and the value goes back up again.
Correct, yeah.
Okay. And so in your, because when I read your bio, there are so
Yeah.
many B's and R's. Well, there's one B and loads of R's.
Yeah.
So with this one, if you buy it on a short lease, you deal with the lease,
Mhm.
then when that mortgage comes up, then you're remortgaging it back up and you get a brand new valuation on it because you've got the brand new lease. That's how you can then take that money back out if you wanted to, some or all of it, and then use that to go and get yourself another one.
Correct, yeah.
And then presumably you're not bothering to get yourself into 5 years leases and wait 5 years. You're looking at 1 or 2 year mortgages so that you can move quicker.
Yeah, but you can also get lenders where it's called basically, say you get a 2-year fixed or a 5-year fixed. You've got products where you can have it's called additional borrowing facility. So after
Okay.
months of owning the mortgage, you can take out some cash if you want to. Or if it's with Paragon, it's called no, if it's with TMW, sorry, it's called further advance. And with Paragon, I think it's called further advance as well. So after
Okay.
6 months of having a mortgage, you can refinance, pull out any equity that you have, and then continue with a 2-year fix or 5-year fix without changing your lender and paying the early ERC charges.
Oh, okay. That's cool. So you're effectively, it's a bit like they do with your phone contracts. You're just sort of like renewing the mortgage and starting all over again, tacking it on.
Yeah.
So what about this process without going into sort of too much detail now? How complicated is it to do short leases and renew your leases?
A lot of people don't like it. They prefer just to refurb it, get the builders involved, and then put it back on the market, the BRR. But it's not too bad. It's straightforward for me. Obviously, now and again you
Well, you
might
have been doing it a few
builder.
years.
I know. What some people run from is the freeholders and the uncertainty of the freeholders offering you X amount to extend the lease. So that
Yeah.
uncertainty, a lot of people don't like because some of them are a bit unscrupulous and some of them are just normal. So they try and fleece you or inflate it slightly. But this is where your surveyor comes in, and
Okay.
maybe you negotiate on your behalf, or she would negotiate on your behalf. But my one's a he, will negotiate on your behalf in order to get down the lease to what it should be. But in my experience, not every freeholder tries to fleece you. Yeah. So out of the ones that I've done, I'll say maybe only 10 to 15% of them try and fleece you. And then the rest of them are coming at normal rates. So
So
that's
is there like you can look at, because you spoke earlier about a flat being a certain square footage, and you can look up what's the value per square foot of,
yeah,
properties in a certain postcode. Is
yeah.
there some sort of formula that tells you, I'm at 90 and I want to go up to 125, or now I'm at 80 and I want to go back to 125? Is there some sort of formula that they use to calculate this? How would you know if you were being fleeced?
Yeah, so basically there's one formula that the government uses, which is about to change by the way because of the Leasehold Reform Act, but that's for the next interview, I think. It's more about the beginning. So yeah, there's one formula that's set, which gives you a lease extension premium figure.
Okay.
I mean, all of the surveyors have it. I mean, this is what they use to give us a quote for the lease extension premium. Now, the freeholder may add on a little bit on top, as in like
Like
pre.
their admin charge or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, that's it basically. Just one
So
formula then.
that's where you're watching for it, isn't it, really, then?
Yeah,
So the formula for the lease is the formula for the lease. It's
yeah,
what they're going to add in admin fees that is where you could get some pain.
that's it. Yeah. Hmm.
And this is quite a relatively, I mean, like all things in property, you got to find the deals, you got to get your education, you got to have your knowledge, you got to have your team with you. But this is something that you could just, put in, wash, come out, put in, wash, come out, as much as you've got the energy to do this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You can just rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. Basically, like I said, a similar version to the BRR. Always make sure that you find all the end value of the flat, the comparables. Make sure you get a good estimated quote for the lease extension premium, and then that will determine what you offer on the property for. And
Yeah.
then try and make a minimum of about 20% uplift if you can afterwards, after all that's been done. I mean, obviously, if you've got a refurb in there as well and reconfiguration, then
Put the
obviously that,
whole lot together, your
yeah, yeah,
room.
exactly, yeah, yeah. Boost,
Yeah.
triple threat.
Awesome. I think we met again, like a whole bunch of people. We were at, gosh, was it only September? It feels like a life. In fact, was it really only a month ago? I think it
Yeah,
was.
September, yes.
Oh my gosh, this has gone so fast. So about a month ago, in which time, I've had a couple of holidays and we've done a whole load of work. And yeah, I thought it felt more like 3 or 6 months ago, but a month ago we were at the Property Education Accreditation Summit, and that's where I got to meet you. And I was just listening to what you said, and I thought it's something interesting. One would want this said about them anyway, but I'm genuinely saying I've not met anybody like you. I've not, there's all these other different things that you can do, but I've not met anybody like you, and I've been cuffing about a bit, nearly as long as you. Um, yeah, so I just thought this was really interesting. So how do I feel about flats now? I would go very definitely curious,
Yeah.
very definitely curious. And you said that you were a maths lecturer or a maths
Yeah.
teacher,
Yeah.
and that maths for me, that idea that there's a formula for the uplift of the lease,
Yeah.
that I could find a property, find the value,
Yeah.
know the formula uplift. I'd have the variable of the admin fee. And then obviously there are set charges, like when you do anything, there's going to be a broker fee and a solicitor fee and a survey fee and a this fee and a that fee. And obviously you've got to get your right team.
Yeah.
That there's a nice little equation here that you could just slot things in, isn't there? So
Yeah, there is, there is. If you allow me to share briefly, I know it's a podcast, if you allow me to
yeah,
share,
yeah.
I can give you a 1 minute or less than a minute stamp of approval from an MP.
Okay, yeah, yeah. Do give me
Yeah.
a stamp of approval
All
from an
right.
MP.
All right. I'll send you a request then to share screen briefly.
Okay. And what's this? So it's like a video from someone? Oh, you said you had something where you were mentioned, didn't you? Go on then.
Yeah, cool. Well, with strategy, yeah. Let me just get this one just so you can hear it. It's only briefly.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So it should come through now, hopefully. Yeah.
Christmas present of all time. And make no mistake, smart investors recognizing this forthcoming windfall are already buying residential short and medium-term leases, precisely for this purpose. Having cheaply extended the lease, they will immediately reoffer the flat for sale with vacant possession and enjoy the big lottery win.
All right. So when I heard that in Parliament, I was like, yep.
That's you. Yeah, but given all that we've heard about property investors, I was thinking he was going to go, oh yeah, they're being really kind and they're doing this. But actually the whole tone there was, you're another shark,
No,
Jason, listening to
no.
him.
There
Oh
could be
my
not
God.
many of us, as in like short leases out there. But I thought, oh, a lot of people, a lot of individuals in his circle are probably doing this strategy, but people outside of the MP's circle are not really doing it. Obviously, like you said, first time you met someone doing short leases, everyone's doing a commercial to Resi or HMOs or
Yeah, yeah.
say or wherever it may be, but not many people are doing short leases. So I think the cat's out of the bag in terms of MPs and what they're doing. For him to mention it in Parliament is something different.
It's bizarre, isn't it? And
Mm,
again, he's saying you're bad for offering this back out onto the market and making a profit. And you've just said you want a 20% uplift, but that's your time and your risk in there. You've taken something that it would be very difficult for anybody else to buy, very difficult for anybody else to increase the list. If
yeah,
a residential buyer came along and bought it without knowing it, let's say 87, 85 years,
mm,
7 years down the line when their kids are a bit older or they want to go to another school, then all of a sudden they've lost value because they can't renew it.
exactly.
It's yeah, it's just odd. And
Yeah.
somehow you're a bad guy, Jason, for being creative and entrepreneurial and
Mm.
yeah, I know. My whole conversation today has just been about, once upon a time. And what was it somebody said to me? That in the movies it used to be the man with the white with the English accent.
Mhm.
So the man with the English accent was
Yeah.
the bad guy.
Right. Yeah.
Particularly in American movies, you could always say like the plummy voice, he was either an assassin or a robber or whatever he was.
Yeah.
Now you turn on the TV, and if someone dies and they're sort of slightly happy that he dies, that he was murdered, it's okay because he was a property investor or a property dealer, or
That's it.
he evicts pregnant women and then
Yeah.
puts in 5 people in there. So
With a
yeah,
bad.
we are bad guys. Well, you definitely with that clip didn't help there, but look, Jason, I really want to thank you for your time, for waking us up to this strategy, for definitely making me flat curious. That's for sure. And what I'm going to do, if it's okay with you, is I'll ask you if we can get into this in a bit more detail for my community, and then we can share this as part of the Wealthy Life community. Would that be okay?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Brilliant. So for now, thank you very much for your time. Thank you, Jason. Well, I think he has definitely got me curious about short leases. It's something that I will pay attention now. I'm not sure whether I will do this as a strategy for myself. I would definitely now be much more aware of it. I've still got a couple of flats left in my portfolio. It will certainly make a difference to how I view them and what I do with them going forward. I think that there is a way that you could probably buy flats with a short lease, know how to convert those, and literally only spend the money at the other end. Because I don't know whether we said this explicitly, but the cost of extending a flat lease can be in the region of £20,000, potentially more. So you don't necessarily want to be paying that money up front unless you can either pull it out, and that's part of your strategy, or convert it at some end through a sale. So that's why I say this is an advanced strategy, but having this conversation with Jason has certainly been very eye-opening to a very niche strategy that you could look at. All the links for Jason are going to be in the show notes. Do make sure that you connect with him, and do make sure that you follow along for more.